that.
It's a hope cat, isn't it?
You like watching paint?
Are you ready, Jane?
Get us going, Jane.
Okay.
Do you want to put the little dictaphone thing in the middle of the table?
She's working on it.
Oh, she's working on it.
The video is going. I just need to get this
I know.
going. Bear with me. I'm sorry.
Okay. You have all night.
Okay.
Wonderful. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Today is Monday, April 3rd. This is Tufton Borough Board of Selectmen. First order of business I'd like to do is to have everyone join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public input. There seems to be none. Generally speaking, we do minutes at this time, but there are no minutes to be done.
There are many. No.
Next appointment would be at 4:30 for Tim Galvin, which you should be, if he's coming, soon. What I'm going to do here is, because we have an interesting action item, I'm just going to discuss it a little bit. This appears to be an application for us to authorize the Conservation Commission chairman to apply for an LCHIP grant, if I read it correctly. I've been told by our administrative assistant that he wants to talk to us about it, but he's not here, and I don't know if he's going to come in here today. So obviously, we'll just have to put that aside until he does, I would think. Unless somebody else has a better idea.
No, I'd like to hear him. I'd
Okay.
like to hear him talk before I acknowledge anything.
I think it's a good idea. Signature file. Got some more action items we could look at. I know Bob has looked at these. We have a memo from Chief Shiguri. Says he had found vehicles that were available. Goes through quite a report and it has a recommendation of what we ought to buy, provided that we want to buy one. I think we should wait that one until he gets here and we'll talk about it. Chief Thompson has provided us with the information on the 3 bids that he got for the possible purchase of a pickup truck. The one that meets every criteria and is available soon is from Hilltop Chevrolet. And the price on that one was $53,035. The other 2 bids were, one was for $59 and change, the other was for $60. So we can take action on that, authorizing him to go ahead or not. I'd like to discuss it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's red. I see a black truck.
Oh,
with
yeah,
a-
you
Yeah, I
do
had
on
the
the
same
front.
question.
When you read farther into the narrative, it's hot red.
Nice. Well, it should be for a fire. But
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to authorize the chief to go ahead and order this truck?
Well,
Or we're going to discuss it? some more?
well, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion
I'll second.
for discussion.
All right, discuss away.
Do we know that that's the chief's recommendation, was that vehicle? Or are we just going on the fact that we have 3 bids in the folder that we're looking at, and we're assuming that that's his recommendation?
From the talk that we had with him the last time he was here, I would say yes, that is his recommendation. However, my memory and yours may be different of that conversation. Should we have Kenny give him a phone call before?
Before I vote on it, I'd like to be sure that that is his recommendation, because I don't see anything in writing. I haven't heard anything verbal from him. I just see 3 prices in the folder, and I don't want to take action without him saying.
Then would you like to make a motion to table this until we can talk to him?
Then I think we should table it.
Yeah, I just don't want to put it off for a week if we don't have to. I mean, I could imagine us voting on it. If it's not the truck he wants, the other two are more expensive, which would mean you'd have to come back to us to get more money. I don't know if it makes a lot of difference. But I just don't want him calling up on Thursday and asking if we couldn't just have a special meeting for the truck. That would be my only thought. And we're meeting next Monday, right?
Yes,
Yes, it's a
Nine.
morning meeting.
9 o'clock.
So we had a motion to table. We don't have a second on that.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of tabling until we can talk to the chief?
Aye.
Aye. That was easy. So much for action items. Parks and Rec isn't due until 5. Let's look at correspondence. So, first up, we have a memo from Chris Rule, our transfer station superintendent. I don't know if you guys have read it, but I'll read it. I have been made aware of communications on social media between residents in reference to the possibility of the landfill seeping or leaking into the Great Meadow. Apparently, a local resident had been walking around the pond adjacent to the transfer station and observed a rust colored in sand under the water and surmised that the landfill was leaking and is the cause of this. I have spoken to the well monitoring company, Stantec. They assured me that the 3 wells, 2 surface water and 1 below ground water well, are regularly monitored and have all tested within normal limits. This is not an indication of the landfill leaking or seeping. It's the memo from Chris. Speaking to that, since I had an interesting career in groundwater remediation, groundwater coming through a landfill doesn't necessarily have to have contamination in it to come through the landfill. It may at some point pick up more as the channel opens, but for now, we're not in any danger, so that's a good thing. Next is a memo from Chief Shiguri. It says that he'll be out from April 5th to April 9th, be out of state, on vacation, and he'll be available by phone, and that Sergeant Hathcock will be around. Nice. Another memo from Chief Shiguri. This is a very long one. This is concerning...
Yeah,
You may.
so I can hear you.
This one concerns applications for employment here. It seems that he has 5 applications, 3 that are not prior police officers and 2 that are out-of-state police officers or have been. And there's a whole list of things he has to go through to decide whether or not any of these people would be suitable. It looks like all of them would have to attend at least a portion of the academy to be brought up to the current state applications on our laws. And then there's a physical test that would have to be done later on if some of those can be accepted. Obviously, as we know, if we have a brand new one, they have to go through the full police academy, which delays our hiring them. I believe that last one was 16 weeks, if I remember correctly. It's a long process. So he's working on that, and I'm sure it's going to come in. So we can discuss more about that with him when he comes in, eh? Oh, here's another memo from Chief Shiguri. And this concerns a webinar or 2 put on by the New Hampshire Municipal Association. One was on safer streets, and he sent that information by email to us. And it covered ways to design roads for safety, which is all very interesting, especially if we were going to design a road. The next one, and he attached it, in big print, different pages, is talking about First Amendment audits and the public right to record meetings, the actions going on in public areas of governmental buildings, etc. And it has a whole bunch of points as you go along. And he downloaded that for our perusal at any time. The ZBA has sent us a notice of a waiver that was granted. The Margaret Eisler Trust, tax map 63-1-8-7, A variance regarding section 4, article 4.2 of the zoning ordinance has been granted by the affirmative vote of at least 3 members of the zoning board of adjustment. And then we have an expedited minimum impact wetlands permit application that has come through the Conservation Commission. I was aware of it, obviously, being on the Conservation Commission. Say it approves if you'd like to. It meets all the requirements. Our Conservation Commission chairman has given his okay, so to speak, or at least we don't really give an okay. The state basically decides whether it's good or not. But if we have concerns, we're allowed to express them. Well, yeah.
The Conservation Commission has not expressed any concerns.
No, he signed off on that the commission is fine with it. So much for correspondence. You might as well go into the signature file. Oh boy. Okay, so first up in signatures. We have an administrative abatement for 2 property owners. Property 15-2-13 for $20.07. Property 50-2-14 for $19.56. And our tax collector has notified us that they both sent checks at the time she was doing the lien, so they kind of crossed in between. So we actually did get this in time. I'd like a motion to sign this.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is a yield tax levy. This is basically timber tax. The tax map lot is 46-3-7. Motion to sign this?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We've done that before. Oh, the next one we have is also a timber tax levy. That's for tax map 32-11. Appears to be in order. Motion to sign.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next we have a gravel tax levy for map 32-2-12. And that is in the amount of $28.20. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And once again, we have another gravel tax levy, and that's from map number 32-2-6, the amount of $30.56.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And finally, we have an application for a veteran's tax exemption. I've looked this over. Paperwork all seems to be in order, recommended by our tax collector.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a print and sign, by the way. That does it for signature file. This is moving right along. Our next appointment is at 5 o'clock. The Parks and Recreation Commissioner.
We could get back into our day drinking.
Did you bring anything?
Really got time.
Would you like me to see if Dennis would like to come down now?
I see no harm in it. You don't mind?
You're fine.
Thanks, mate. Meeting's moving right along at a rapid pace.
Well, we didn't have Herr Gagnon or
Galvin.
Galvin here. So. Maybe he forgot.
Isn't that important then?
All right,
How are you?
Hi, good and you?
next up, we've got our Parks and Rec Director, Dennis Zlembo. Come on down, Dennis.
I sit next to this young man?
Yeah.
Mr. Francis Lassie, this is Dennis Zlembo. You've probably met.
No, I don't know at all.
There you go.
Was it volunteer? How's everybody doing?
Very well, how are you?
I'm good. So we got a big week this week. Saturday is our Easter egg hunt up at Camp Sentinel. I was up there Friday and there's still quite a bit of snow there, so we're gonna have it anyway, and hopefully the weather cooperates a little bit, but we got about 2,100 eggs, plus gold eggs, plus the golden ticket. The Easter bunny. Afterwards, there's gonna be photos with the bunny in the lodge. That lodge is gorgeous there. And they made homemade cookies and cocoa, so I'm just hoping, like last year we had over 100 here at Central Park. They asked me, Sentinel asked me, could we have it up there? So they've been the Easter bunny, for me for the last 3 years, so we accommodated them. So let's hope that we get a good crowd. I think we will. We're ready. I didn't have the Easter bunny here last year, if you remember. You had ears and stuff like that. But we got a commission meeting tomorrow. Any luck? You'll be there, 5 o'clock?
I'll be there.
We did have a resignation. Chris Lavinette resigned. We got 3 people coming in tomorrow that have kind of plead their case, tell us about why they want to be on the Parks and Rec Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Warner, Erin from this general store, and Mick Tuff, so we'll see. Get some more people involved.
Well, we have more people that are interested than we have seats available.
Yeah,
So we're doing kind of an interview process.
yeah, I guess that's what's happening.
An
And we're
informal
gonna kind
interview
of pick
process.
2 of them, I think, out of the 3.
Correct.
I think so. So that'll be good. Yeah. So you'll be there tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dodgeball starts on the 13th. CPR, we filled the class today. We got 10 in the class. And it's funny, I don't know if you saw the guy from the Buffalo Bills. He's pushing this big AED thing. Well, obviously, it saved his life. So, we got 10 people signed up, and they'll have 2 instructors. In fact, the final 2 just joined up today. Paid class May 10th up at the townhouse. May 12th, we got family fun night down at the Davis Field. We're doing the kickball portion. We have the kids against the adults. It went pretty good last year, so we're going to repeat that. May 24th is our cornhole league, begins down the beach. Yoga, we got starting June 2nd to August 25th, every Friday morning at 8 o'clock. And that's something new, so we're excited about that. Now the ballroom dancing is last class is this Thursday. But there's something, they organized their own little trip. I thought they said New London or somewhere. But they're all going down to this place. I guess there's a big band or whatever, and they're gonna put all their practice into motion down there. Most of them are staying overnight, so that was a nice ending. So they both come up with the idea too, which we're gonna start something new down on the beach, actually in the pavilion, July 11th to August 8th. It's called Ballroom on the Beach, and it's no charge. We might have a donation. I know Dave don't want a donation thing, but anybody that just wants to come down and dance to their music, and if they need help, Dave and Evan are gonna be there to kind of help them, so. Just don't tell my wife about that, okay? So that's something new, we're excited about that. I was telling Guy earlier, this kind of experiment with this Saturday entertainment, about a month ago we had a great singer. We had about 18 people. This past Saturday we had Brian Hastings, he did a great job, 7 people. So it's kind of an experiment, you know, Brian was in today, he thought the 7 to 9 was too late, Tufton Bro's too old, I don't really agree with that. But we got 2 more dates scheduled, one of them is Carolyn Ramsey, so I know she'll bring a crowd. But again, it's just that idea of using that townhouse for some more activities, you know, and again, I'm pushing for a stove and a fridge up there. I think we can do a lot with that. So we'll try those 2 things. Maybe by the end of the summer, we'll pass out a schedule of what's happening in the fall up there, and maybe just go the first Saturday of every month. So, I mean, you don't have to, as I was telling Guy, you don't have to drive to Concord or Laconia to hear live music. Get in your car and you're here in 2 minutes to hear a couple hours. So the singers have been great. The crowd's not so great.
What are you gonna do about that?
Well, you know, again, I was telling, you know, it's been in the paper. There's a sign out there. It's been on Facebook. We've had flyers. So I think it's gonna build, but people just gotta know about it, you know. And I think the people that come had a great time. I mean, the first night there was a group of 6 or 8 of them, and they had a ball. They were dancing and they were doing everything. So.
But you can't keep doing it at a loss.
Oh, I know that. No, I know that. I know, and I think it's an experiment, and I think the next 2 will kind of judge what's going to happen. I think in the fall, you know. So anyway.
How are you gonna be covering these losses?
Well, right now it's coming out of the the revolving fund. I just write a check. It's $200 for the entertainer. You know, first night we brought in, I think, I don't know, 60, and I paid the lighting guy an extra 40. He actually set the thing up, and of course we brought in a big $20 this past week. Brian had his family there, but we didn't charge them. But I know, it's a gamble. I know that. And the goal is to have, you know, I mean, you can fit 90 people sitting up there. That's the capacity. I was hoping to get 40 at $5 a head. There's your $200, you know. It's not working out though. So we'll see what the next 2 bring, and then we'll make a decision on what we're gonna do. Still looking for a swim teacher. Granite State kind of apologized. It was supposed to be in last week, and this week she's gonna put it in, double the size, same price. So that's a big question mark. You know, we can't lose that. Kerry Lynch from the Boat Museum. They want another mooring there. We pay for 2. They sent the registration. I sent it in with the check. I'm gonna come back because the boat they sent in with the registration wasn't registered. So he's been away, I think, for a week. I said, look, you want 2 things here. I said, number one, and I mentioned, you know, how last time it was kind of on the edge of, you know, your property a little bit there. And I said, you gotta make sure you're gonna go right of the one you have now, and not too close to the, you know, the swim lines of the dock, you know. So that's, you know, and that, we had a kind of a, again, I'm trying to take care of Tufton Bro, and I told him right off the bat. I said, look, we got into this 2 years ago. What's in it for me? Right now, you get my place, I pay for the moorings, Wolfboro Rec gets credit. All I wanted to do was a swim thing, and you're discouraging it. So he said, okay, Dennis, by next year, next summer, I will make sure you have a chase boat, You got the instructor and everything else. I says, that's fine. I just don't want this to be a one-sided thing here. So, you know, that's where that stands.
Are we gonna have a problem this year with those boats that have been kept on the beach?
The outrigger canoe.
Yeah, no, he's actually coming in, I'm meeting him tomorrow. Thing, I mean, we can put him anywhere we want. It's just so heavy and big. They put him at that far end when you first come in. I think it's not really a beach area where they have it. When they put it way over by the fence, it's kind of a pain to drag them all the way over and get them in the lake, so.
How much interest was there last year in that program?
The what?
How
It
much
was really
interest
good,
was it?
really good, yeah, they, better than the first year. They went sometimes 2-3 times a week, weekends, early mornings. So I think it's building, you know, it's getting better. It's kind of an odd activity.
And what do you need a chase boat for?
For when you have a kid sailing program, just in case one of the boats kind of
Okay.
wanders off, you gotta go get them.
Right. So is it our sailing program or Wolfboro sailing
Well,
program?
right now, they have a sailing program, we don't.
Right.
And then when I talked to Kerry maybe a month ago, he said, oh, no, you don't understand how it's involved, and you gotta get insurance and instructor and chase boats. I said, I got an instructor. You know, we gotta talk about insurance and fees and everything else, but I need that chase boat. And I understand Albee Beach had 2 of them, and I brought that up to him. I says, they have 2. We just want the one of them over here, so. Our goal is to start that, not this summer, next summer, if I'm still alive. Okay, here we go. What else? Moorings. We did get a letter from, actually, if anyone wants to see it, they're not gonna test Melvin Village Wharf. They're cutting back on number of beaches they're doing because of resources and staffing and everything else. So they said that's pretty fine, it's not enough activity. They'll still do 19 Mile Bay, but just a notice saying they're not gonna do Melvin.
They're not testing for the algae blooms?
Not in Melvin, no.
Huh.
No, I mean, you can have copies upstairs if you need. I think that's it I have, all I have. Certainly, if you're not doing anything Sunday, 1 o'clock, come up, we should have a good time up there, a lot of kids, a lot of parents.
Sunday?
Sunday, 1 o'clock, Camp Sentinel.
I thought you said Saturday.
I mean Saturday, yeah, Saturday. And the weather looks good, so we just need to melt some snow. That's all I have. Anyone else? Anybody else got something?
Right, good.
Can I ask a question about the moorings?
The mornings, yeah.
They are for the town of Wolfboro, or their sailing program, which is based in Wolfboro?
Well, it's again, I think, did you guys have that agreement? Did Cammy give you that we
Yeah.
we have to kind of go through?
What I'm thinking, to relieve the cost to you, whatever, your effort, is to suggest that they relocate the mooring down in opposite Libby Museum and off town property down there. They've got a dock, they've got a launch, they've got, move the mooring down there and tuck the road out of it.
Bring that up to Kelly, yeah.
Is it just
Yeah, no, that's it.
a future thought?
Yeah. Now we're gonna add a second one, so.
Well, I'm not sure that's what our goal is.
It wasn't the intent.
Dennis's goal was to have a sailing program.
Right, exactly.
So, we're not gonna move the moorings. If
That
Wolfboro wants to
that was the
put
deal
their
back
own
2
moorings
years ago.
down there.
The
that's
deal
fine.
was that, I will say, what's in it for Tuptenboro? And the fact that we could start an activity that we don't have.
Well, if it were our own, I'd have no problem, but
Yeah.
it being Wolfboro and moving a mooring, not a big deal. I do it all the time.
Yeah. I'll bring that up to him, but again, I don't wanna lose the fact that, you know, we're gonna have a brand new program that's pretty popular. I know the Wolfboro one sells out. They do a pretty good job with it, and
Yeah.
they get quite a few, so, that would be my goal. So, I will mention that to him, but I don't wanna lose the fact that we could get that program next summer. Anything else, boys?
I'm good. Everybody good with Dennis?
I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Okay, me today, no? John?
No.
She's off.
He's off, all right, take care. I don't.
Thank you.
Next on the schedule is Dave Jefferson. We can take you early today, Dave.
Oh,
And that'll work out well
not great.
for everyone.
indeed. Oh,
Quiet.
Pretty good.
I mentioned that Dave is, for the public, Dave's one of our representatives from the Lakes Region Planning Commission, especially working on roads for us.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, to be clear, I'm staff at Lakes Region
Yes.
Planning Commission, regional planner. I believe I met your new representative to LRPC, Tim Galvin? Or maybe he was just visiting.
Yeah, we have our.
We haven't voted on a
appointed
representative for
Okay.
anybody.
Okay.
If you did communicate with Tim, it's in a completely unofficial capacity.
Okay, he was there, I think he may have just been, Steve Wingate was there, and at the housing meeting we had the end of March, a week or so ago, and there were some good questions.
Good.
So, I just wanted to follow up, we had talked last month about roads, RSMS, and updating the map and with information. We've done, we received some updated costs on what it cost for the work on the 4 or 5 roads that had been done over the last couple of years. We do also need to get 2 more pieces of information for that work. If the entire road was not done, if only a portion of the road was done, you need to identify, it needs to be identified where it was done, and also what type of treatment was done. I had sent Cammy, I'm sorry I forgot to bring with me. We have a list, and I provided a copy to you at our last meeting, a hard copy of the different treatments that might be done, whether it's full depth or reclamation or that sort of thing. And I know that some information has been received, but not all. What we were able to do, though, is you had asked about putting culverts on there.
Right.
And we did that. We did it in 2 different formats. And this is the culverts along the various roads. If you recall, the road colors were the condition that it was in. We had updated it to 2021. And we were looking to take it for, I guess, information was sent on the costs for 2021 and 2022. There's good detail on the costs, but we do need to know, like, what segments, and if you recall, these are numbered quarter-mile segments of roadway. And if those can just be circled by the road agent or and then identifying the type of work that was done. So
we need to add that piece.
okay.
And the red in this is the colors, obviously, but, so the red are suspect, the green are okay?
In terms of the road condition, the road condition is red, yellow,
Right,
green.
but the dots,
Those
these are all
are
Right here,
culverts.
red, orange, and green.
poor, fair, good,
Right.
yeah. And that was when they were assessed in
Right, because I know these were.
2017, 2018.
Northland Road,
Yeah,
those were
Right.
addressed. And I'm pretty certain that anything on Dame Road was also
Yeah.
done.
and
So Jim needs to tell you which of these culverts he's fixed or repaired, right?
and the road segments
Right.
too. If he can tell us about the culvert stuff, yeah, we can we can update that with at least some of this. I mean, this is culvert condition, and obviously that's the most important thing to you. In the database, there's also stuff, what material it's made out of, and
Right.
how big it is, and that sort of thing. So that's just underneath
These are
is,
both the same.
well, this one, it does show the ID number, but it gets kind of cluttered. In a final version, we would shorten up those ID numbers, that doesn't mean a 5-digit number. So. But
Okay,
I just wanted to make sure, I just wanted to sort of keep the process rolling along.
sure.
We had gotten some materials, we need to get the rest. And I figured you guys are probably, you as a board or as individuals, I don't know how you do it, but you're probably the ones to get the information from the road agent.
Right.
We,
Okay, so once you have all that information, we can get an updated print.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, and you can give us,
we're at a bit of a standstill with this.
okay, and you can give us 2 copies.
Oh, yeah,
Because what, I think I had mentioned, getting one of these mounted on a board, the original that Dave had done
Mhm.
back in 17, was it?
The data was collected in 17, I don't think it came to you until 18, but,
So we got a before and after.
yes.
So I know there was a little confusion about
What was done when exactly?
whether we knew what was going
Yeah,
on.
Right.
So,
I have a question.
Good.
What does the planning commission consider to be a full depth reclamation?
Well, there are, oh, I'm sorry.
We talked about that last time, I think, it
There
was
are,
18 to 24 inches.
there are actually three or four different types that are described in
Mhm.
here. And I can, my apologies, I don't have that.
If it's on the website, I can look it up.
Well, we can certainly send another copy of the document to you. I'm sorry.
I'm recalling 18 to 24 inches.
That is one version of it, yes. There are some that are less, but anything that's full depth reclamation is gonna be much more expensive
Oh,
than
yes,
anything
no
else.
doubt, blasting even.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's helpful for us, I mean, if, having seen the numbers that were provided to us, and if you tell us, okay, on Dame Road, 2,300 feet was done, and we're gonna call it this.
Mhm.
That'll give us and we know how much it costs. We can make some modifications to match it up as closely as possible to
Right.
what, if you wanna call it full depth A and full depth B, we can do it that way.
And that might run spotty in places. You may be doing a 24 inch, but then get to a point where it comes up to be 6 inches,
Right,
simply because you
Right.
don't have the money or,
understood,
yeah,
understood.
so it's kind of weird.
But if, it will give, we need to be, it's best if we can, get a type associated with it.
Sure.
Because that's gonna give us an idea of how long, what sort of life extension
Right.
that's gonna give the road.
Sure.
And if we do go to forecasting,
Mhm.
which is what we did in the original, and are working with another community to do forecasting for sort of another 10 years out. That gives us something to work with in terms of,
Sure.
okay, when are you likely gonna need to come back to this
Yeah.
road?
You may have answered this last time we
Yep.
met. Are we doing any forecasting for our roads?
Not at this point, not at this point. I think that would be, right now, what we're doing is, gee, this is part of a little bit of an update.
But it's more of a snapshot than anything.
Right. It's a snapshot of where things are at.
I think we need to,
Well, it's kind of self-forecasting. You can look at what was done, what we started with, now what we have. And if you just go by the color coding, we have one large section of red and a bunch of little sections of red that we need to get done. And then we're already working on Tuftonboro Neck is, I'm understanding that that's part of the schedule this year.
Yes,
It's coming across Neck, which is,
now I think it's only coming halfway.
right.
right, but and the goal is to get the whole thing done.
Yeah, it was gonna take,
The other thing
years
is,
to
he
do
hasn't
that.
updated Sherwood Way.
Yeah.
So that section should be gone. He hasn't added,
Farm Pond,
Graymont's
Farm Pond.
Farm Pond.
Right.
Or the end of,
Union
Willing
Road.
Road.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So there are some pieces that need to get, and I don't see anything here for, the camp. This is the road to Belknap, I believe, isn't it? Or is this the road to?
Chase
Belknap?
Point,
Chase Point is
Okay, so this is the road to that other camp.
Northwoods.
Northwoods, which,
Okay. That's a dirt road, so.
And are they, yeah, okay, yeah, they need to be class 5
Right.
and paved for us to get it. At this point, we haven't heard yet from DOT about, T-squared about doing dirt roads yet.
Although you did the colors, I mean, North Line Road's dirt right through here, and these culverts are done.
The culverts we did on all the
Right.
roads. But on all the class 5 roads.
Yeah, so I think probably a little more in-depth read on what actually was done on Dame and North Line, this is the Federal Corner, Brown Road down here, which he did, how much of a reclamation it was.
if any.
Yeah, well, I know on North Line Road, it was a reclamation of sorts, cause
It was fairly extensive, yes.
yeah, it did these culverts.
Right.
And also parts of Dame Road, I don't know if the whole thing got reclaimed.
They did what they could.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ledge there and things that was gonna, and that's where I would probably, if I was to say what kind of a reclamation was done, when you had this different areas in the road, so to speak.
Yeah.
I would go to the least reclaimed area and call that the reclamation that was done. It's the least you could do.
Yeah.
And that's how I would gauge it. Would that be in keeping with what you would think it would work? Because again, we have roads where you can dig 20 feet down and roads where you can't dig 2 inches down, and then
Yeah, and we are, as I indicated earlier, there's a selection of about 20 different
mhm.
options. And about 4 of them, I think, are full depth reclamation. Then there are a handful of hot mix asphalt of different thicknesses. And oh, yes, you can get differing depths, and I think the idea is to give a sense of, for these sections of roadway, and probably on something the length of Dame Road, it's it's got, what, seven segments on it, so it's
Eight.
8. So it's 2 miles long, about. You know, I doubt that they did really different things on that segment, on that length of road. They probably did the same thing, and we could probably attribute for that entire roadway, you know, if it costs, you know, $150,000 to do that, then we simply say, okay, $160,000 for easy math.
Mhm.
That's $20,000 a section,
Yep.
a quarter-mile segment, and
Go from there.
we actually break it out by square yards because you got differing width of
Mhm.
roadway.
Well, to Bob's point, I mean, would it behoove us to have a new survey done by your experts?
Ultimately, whether it, we certainly could drive the roads again, and part of it would be trying to see, okay, how was the forecasting matching up?
Right.
And,
We're seeing some pressure.
Yeah.
To do more roads.
okay,
I'm not sure.
more road length,
Yeah, I'm not sure how we're gonna do, because we have a certain budget to work with, but, part of that pressure is having a forecast.
okay.
Yeah, and I think the pressure is the lack of a forecast, of any forecast, and I think that was what we were trying to get to, is that, no, we
Yeah.
have been looking at this thing for a number, 6 years since this study was done, and progressed through, so I think if Dave can
Yep.
provide us with a real updated map, then we've answered most of that question about whether or not we have a program.
But in order
Then
to
the next
do,
question
right,
is the program effective, or is it what we want to have happen?
but in order to do that, the road agent needs to provide a lot of input on this map.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get with,
Jim B.
Unless you're gonna see him this week, we can invite him in next Monday.
yeah, I don't know when he's scheduled to get in, but they can come in and tell him to. Monday would be great.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend a little time on it.
That'd be good.
Yeah, because I think we have to go road by road here. Because some of this, I'm sure, has been addressed. And some of it, we're in the process of working on the upper section of Ledge Hill. We're working on grant funding to straighten out the drainage.
Uh-huh.
At which point, you know, you've got 1.25 miles of pavement reconstruction as opposed to a complete, you know, redo of the whole thing. So if we can get the grants to do the drainage and get a drainage design going on that.
Uh-huh.
The other one was Curtis Road, which is here.
Right.
So there and there, and there was one other road I thought that was in that H.E. Bergeron
Up in,
County Road. I don't know if it is county, but could be. I mean, this is just the pavement that's bad there. It doesn't, the
Yeah.
culverts aren't too bad.
yeah.
Right, and that's not paved all the way through, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this bit here, I think is class 6.
It's all
Yeah.
dirt.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have New Road and the balance of Sodom to do. So this, all right.
Well, certainly thank you for getting right back to us.
Okay.
Again, we'll
Good job
have,
with that.
have Jim.
Yeah, I'd
We
like to
should
see
have him
Jim
Monday.
come in Monday, that'd be the best.
Yeah.
Jane,
Mm-hmm.
can you make that note to invite the road agent, strenuously invite the road agent to attend Monday's meeting,
Okay.
please?
Thank
We'll go
you.
from there. Appreciate it.
And I know that you guys have been dealing with roads a bit lately. I did catch a little bit of a recent meeting that you had where you were talking about roads and different historical sorts of things.
Mhm.
You may have a copy of this, of A Hard Road to Travel.
I think there's one here.
It's a good resource, it's been around for a while. It deals with the laws of roads and trails
I'm
and.
sure we have it, and I've also read on the New Hampshire Municipal Association.
Yes.
Puts it out a lot.
Yes, they do, they put it.
And I'm gonna be attending a webinar that I think is
Good.
that very soon.
Yeah, they're doing those. All right, well, thank you very much.
Well, appreciate it, Dave.
Take care.
Have a good evening.
Be safe.
We are
Good to see
really,
you, Brad.
Rockin' and rollin'.
the next appointment would be the police chief at 5:30. You wanna try to track him down? Would you like,
Yeah,
wanna go into Selectmen's updates? I'll wait, yeah, that'd be good.
I'll see if he's there.
Yep. Yeah, we gotta move right along. Miracles do happen. All right. Next up, Chief Shiguri. You're it? Mr. Blasie's just here as an observer.
Oh, okay. Activity is not a whole lot different, although we're down a little bit on incidents. Same there.
I gotta tell you, when I sit at the table at the Tuckenborough General Store on Saturday mornings,
Yeah,
trucks, cars, they fly through that section of road. Flying.
I'll let the officer know that's on then. Keep an eye on that area.
And I mentioned to Sergeant Hathcock that unfortunately I'm making maple syrup all day.
It's not unfortunate, it's a good thing.
And so I get to watch the traffic on
Let you,
Ledge Hill Road, and I guess the roads aren't closed?
I
'Cause
guess,
I saw McWhorter and his dump truck and the, what are those, the Evans brothers, is that who they are?
Yeah,
I see
oh,
them
yeah.
like
Well,
all day, every day.
But we gotta, catch them where somebody's gotta call us about it. And secondly, the other thing that's happened, we ran into this once where somebody had permission from Jim. So we don't always know who has permission, who doesn't have permission to go.
Yeah, I think on the permission thing, he's gotta tighten that up and you can enforce it. But they gotta have something in writing. There was a crane I followed across Chickville Road, which was closed, and onto Ledge Hill Road and down to, the new development down there, Ridgewood.
Ridgewood, yeah.
Yeah. And, driving right by at least 4 6-ton limit signs, it just seems like nobody's paying attention to it at all. And I thought I saw yesterday, or no, Friday, concrete pumping truck moving down in there. And, which would mean concrete transit mix trucks are gonna come through. So it just goes on and on and on, and I think maybe a
I've had a chat with the guy down, one of the construction people, but they are subcontractors, so you gotta talk to the contractor, they said, we'll pass it on. It's a lot of this when you go down there.
Yeah, I think you just gotta look at anything that weighs more than 6 tons and put a ticket on it. I mean, at some point in time, these people gotta learn that we're not gonna close the roads, or we're gonna
Right,
close them
yeah.
and it's gonna be effective.
Right, well, one way or the other.
Yeah,
It can't be any halfway, it doesn't work.
yeah. Cause they're not paying any extra money to repair our roads after they ran over them in the mud season, so. Just saying.
So Chief, we have correspondence from you that you'll be on vacation from the,
Maybe,
well, it
Things
says
have
you'll be out of
changed.
state, it could change,
it could change, yes.
okay?
I might
Well-
not be going.
We will plan that you will be out, and if you're here, so much the better for us, eh?
Yep.
Okay, then we've got one, and it's quite extensive. You've outlined the fact that you've had 5 applicants for our open position, and you've gone through in great detail about the different certifications, qualifications. Apparently there are 3 that have no prior experience, etc.
Yeah.
And I'm presuming that you're just gonna keep moving ahead with this.
Yeah, we've got, actually 2 more have come in since I did that memo.
Okay,
Both without any experience. So it's a matter of, and we gotta set up a time where we can do the physical test. I think that's what we're gonna do first.
you did mention that when the NIC is open, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, so I told Sergeant Hathcock's certified by PSTC to administer those tests.
Mhm.
So he's going to be setting that up. Hoping to do that later this month.
Would
early
you
May.
clarify PSTC?
Police
for the-
Standards and Training Council.
That's for the public.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Police Standards and Training Council, it's their requirements to get into the academy, get
Right.
certified. Even if somebody is not going to the academy, like one of them has previously been, actually, there's also a part-time mentioned in there too,
Yes,
that even if you're previously certified, your certification lapses after 30 days. So you have to reapply for certification
Mhm.
after 30 days being out of law enforcement. They look at what, you have to submit a form called prior training and experience, and then they look at that and they determine what classes have to be taken. But they won't give you an answer until the person actually has all the paperwork submitted. They won't look at stuff until somebody's actually in front of them.
understood.
So what they have is basically anybody's been out for, if somebody's out for 30 days, they'll probably just say, you're good. You know what I mean? Here you go, come back in. But you will have to take the physical test if you're out more than, once you're out over 30 days. Anybody that's been out for very long though, they're gonna have to take the law package. That's probably a guarantee, which is studying New Hampshire law, because things have changed probably since I left. Or if they're certified in another state, they're not knowledgeable about New Hampshire Constitution, New Hampshire law.
Sure.
So that's what would happen if, you know, so I got 2 more that have applied, one of which is in the military deployed, it's in the National Guard deployed, it won't be back till the fall. But the other one is living locally, so we're hoping to get, at least start the testing. I wanted to make sure I had several to go through before we just did it, but we're looking to do the testing coming up, like I said, towards the end of this month, if possible.
So there's possibilities.
There's possibilities, yeah. And I guess the question goes to the part-time one. I mean, I did put some hours in the budget for that, so that's, I guess we're okay with that, right, to keep going with that?
What am I,
Well, I don't think the budget's gonna be a problem, cause you've been down an officer for quite some time now.
Yes.
And you haven't been paying
Yeah.
that. You're not gonna have another officer on board, I'm gonna guess, much before July, if you can get that to happen.
Right.
So,
and the part-time man would have to have some,
Yeah, he would have to go to the law package.
Mhm.
I believe that's about it.
I think we should proceed with that.
So,
And when you say part-time, what are the conditions of that? And what is the applicant's conditions?
Mhm.
so he has a seasonal place up here. Well, seasonal, it's open seasonally. From like April to November is when he's plans to be up in the area in Molten Borough.
Mhm.
And he'd be available probably a couple times a week is what he, depending upon the schedule and how it works out. So that's,
So that really doesn't impact your budget very much at all,
no,
Just
but it gives us
continue.
somebody during the summer if we get,
And
right?
that doesn't even sound like part-time, it sounds like more per diem.
essentially part-time, yeah, is almost per diem is how
Is he
we
gonna
run
have
it.
scheduled hours or just basically when he can work?
We'd schedule it when he could work and if we had an opening, we'd fill it. He's probably gonna be busy for a while doing the law package, that's gonna take a little bit of time. So that's, but yes, it would be almost that's how we've typically, our part-time has been per diem, although prior, when Chris Rule was part-time, he had a regular schedule of certain days that he worked.
And is that available with this guy, this new part-time?
Probably,
Because we're gonna be investing some money, what do we get back for that? I mean, we need
he'd
some
get some,
control.
he'd be able to fill in and help out with some shifts, that's for
Right,
sure.
but under our scheduling needs, not his scheduling
Yeah,
needs, I guess that would be my point.
Absolutely, if he can't work when we need him, he's kinda like, no point in having him.
Right. Right, that is what happened with one of our prior part-timer,
Right,
calling up when he wanted to work, not when we
Right.
needed, and when we
Right.
needed, he backed
and
out.
that
didn't
could
do
maybe
something.
take some weight off of the, details that we'd like to see, which we're calling details, but it's actually part of your departments.
Hmm.
Like the concert nights. But it's a little hard for you to schedule your officers.
Yeah,
Opening day at Ken Belknap.
Yeah, traffic control.
Traffic control.
well, we've had to use other towns to help us out for most of the time, so.
But I think, I wouldn't be discouraged about having somebody all the way through the academy who has no experience at all. Because
Right.
we're only Tufton Borough, it's not as if we can attract a graduate class member to
It's,
come work for us.
Yeah, we're at, like I said, there's 7 for the full-time position. One was prior. He's applied to other places, so I'm not sure where that's
Right.
gonna end up. The others are all with, even the one that is a deputy in Mass, I started looking into it. I think a deputy in Mass doesn't go to an academy that would necessarily transfer over per se. Because,
Isn't the sheriff's department?
yeah, because sheriffs in Mass do civil paper
Service
and
process.
run the jails.
Right.
I think he runs the jail, works in the jail under that kind of a situation, kinda like a corrections officer, more than on the road handling calls. And they like corrections officers here go through a different training than police do, so.
Right.
So that's, okay, yeah, we're progressing with that and working on that and trying to get that going.
Good, and then we have a last but not least memo, considering a possibility about a new cruiser.
Yep,
We provided us with a whole bunch of information, and your recommendation that we would replace the Ram 1500, which is a 2013 vehicle, with a Tahoe SSV, and McMulkin is the preferred bidder, I would say, or price that you seem to come up with.
they
Am I
had,
correct in that? That's what you'd like?
yes, they got, that's the state bid
Uh-huh,
price.
okay.
The other one, and they got a bid price on the SSV and the PPV. The SSV is special service vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
PPV is police pursuit vehicle. Honestly, on the Tahoe, there's not a lot of difference between them.
Right.
Suspension, tires.
Well, mostly, I think it's mostly tires. They put 20-inch tires on the PPV with like a
Okay.
50 series.
Yep.
Versus
So this is an SVP,
SSV.
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 It'll be like the one we have, the newest one we have. That's an SSV. The other difference is they come with, whether or not they come with a console or a spotlight. That's kinda how that might be set up differently, a little bit interior, but that's the last one we got. It's a little bit cheaper, and it's, I don't see that we necessarily need to spend the extra, and it's, like I said, it's from the state bid price.
Stated prices aren't always the best.
No, that's why I checked with Liberty,
Right, in Central.
and Central,
How about Imperial down in Mendon, Mass?
Imperial,
Imperial.
Mass, what are they?
They're a huge dealer, and they have a municipal lot.
Okay, I will check that out. I
Imperial.
mean, I certainly, if I had other places, I would do it.
Mendon, or the municipal lot, I think, is in Milford.
Imperial?
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll leave this for the chief to do a little more research before we get
Any
into
others?
too much more depth.
That's the only one that I know of.
Yeah, the one thing that I know Liberty offered to do,
Mhm.
that would save a little bit, is if we traded the vehicle towards the, towards it. In other words, because otherwise, when we sell it, it goes into the general fund. If we trade it, that money comes off the cost of the vehicle. That was the only difference that Liberty offered up.
Yeah.
What are the chances of getting enough money for it to get it down to the McMullican price? That's the question. Do you have any idea?
Let's see,
What are we doing?
McMulkin's 41.
Mulkin would take it for trade if we're gonna do that.
Yeah, it'd probably be close, I don't know.
Yeah. I think,
So
what
we
did we get
currently-
for our last cruiser that we had? That we sold?
32, 35,
Something like that.
3,000 and change.
Okay, so we need to,
That
as a
we can get it.
benchmark, we got a 10-year-old vehicle with how many miles on it?
83,287, but it has 3,904 hours,
Yeah.
and the conversion factor from miles to hours added on to the 83,000 would call it 128,832.
You still not gonna get more than.
Now, we're not gonna get a lot.
It's
for
rusted, so we're not gonna get a lot for that. That was a rough. looks
So we
rough.
currently have a fleet of 5 vehicles,
Yeah,
3,000.
3 officers, hopefully getting another full-time officer.
yeah,
So,
that's,
Well, and historically, and you know, the chief knows my feeling on this. It's gonna take until at least September to get it done,
at least,
so.
yeah, at least.
hopefully we don't have the same
Hopefully.
issues, but
His new officer will be fully through the academy through by then.
Let's hope so.
No, at least there's something for him to drive.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
again,
here's the thing now, they're really clamping down on until you're certified, you cannot drive a cruiser.
ooh,
So, because they had a few incidents where people were heading to the academy
Took liberties.
started to do something on their way to or from, and they're not certified. They changed it about 4 years ago to say, yeah, it's just before Gillis got here, so about 5 years ago they changed it. Before, it was kind of on the town, you know, your liability for this person, but now they said, no. About 5 years ago, they said, you cannot work alone. You have to have a certified officer with you until you have your own certification because
Makes
of
sense.
liability issues and concerns. And that was going pretty good until people were taking cruisers back and forth to the academy and somebody got involved in something, they didn't know how to handle it, because they hadn't been trained all the way, so. So they probably won't be driving it back and forth to the academy, that's all I was getting
Good.
at, sorry.
No, I meant to do something to drive if they end up getting hired,
Yeah, yeah,
and you don't have a cruiser yet. You have something that they can drive.
yeah.
No, I didn't take it to the
So-
academy.
The chief's gonna give us some more information.
I will check.
And can
investigate.
you, when you
So,
bring back your report on the physical testing of these people,
Yep,
can you give us an idea what the academy costs are currently?
cost?
Yeah.
Well, to go there now, it's 16 weeks.
mhm.
It's all on us.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
but
how much is
16
that, what is that? How much?
16 weeks is only a time.
It's
factor.
4 months, and we have to buy them all their uniforms and
All right,
everything.
let's get to the chase. How many dollars?
Yeah, that's what we want.
I'll Well, obviously some of it, like the gun, we already have, so I'll get into that, I'll get you some numbers.
Good.
Just so we know.
Yeah, cause some of it we already have,
And we're paying them while they're going to,
we have to
Academy.
pay them while they're at the academy.
and the academy, does that have a cost itself?
No,
They
no,
don't
it's
charge
free,
us? Okay.
it's free, sort of, I mean, they pay for it.
We all pay
There's-
for it.
It's through, well, originally it was paid through fines, but then they
Yeah.
weren't getting enough money, so they put it into the general fund. But the academy, we do not pay to attend classes at the academy, unless there's certain ones that might have a guest instructor, and if you cancel, because they paid for the instructor to be there, they will send you a bill for that. We've never had that issue, because usually there's somebody else who can fill your slot anyways.
Mhm.
So the academy itself is free. Going there though does cost, because they base it on the way they set their hours up is through, they follow, the old, I can't think of the name of the case law, but anyway, there's a case law which set the overtime hours, 168 hours in 4 weeks. So like, that's what the state police do for overtime, they get their overtime in all state, is done over a 4-week cycle. Well, what happens, we go on a 1-week cycle, so sometimes we'll be over and sometimes we'll have to pay some overtime. We had to pay Gillis some overtime when she went to the academy, because the way they do it, like, they'll make go 4 hours extra on this week, then they'll go 4 hours. They'll balance it out at the end of the 168 hours within 4 weeks for the state and some of that. But, so there's a little bit of overtime involved with it for us, not huge numbers, but there is some, just because of the way the schedule gets bounced around.
And is that because the state pays on a monthly basis?
Yeah, because they calculate it out on the 168
And
hours.
how do they pay?
I'm pretty sure the state does it every 2 weeks, but they do
So
their
I-
overtime over 4 weeks.
You know, I don't see any reason why we couldn't create a special pay package for our trainees that would avoid that overtime issue.
It's possible,
So let's take a look at that, cause I just, I mean, you're gonna
personnel plan.
yeah, I mean, it's a training, they're not really employees until we hire them.
Yeah.
So during this period, they're training to become an employee. So it's a little more of a conditional employment. And what happens if they fail out of the academy? Are you gonna hire them?
Actually, technically, we have to hire them ahead of time. Technically, they are hired.
Yes.
Right, technically they're hired, but you're not gonna keep them if they don't finish the
Well,
academy.
they're still their probationary employee anyways.
Right, but, well, there might, depends on what it is. If they fail a written test, say, then they have to go to the next academy to take that, if it's one class. If they fail like 6 classes or 7 classes, now we're gonna be going back to almost, you know what I mean, how much of the academy you're gonna send them back to and wonder if they're gonna be successful.
And when do they take the polygraph?
That's way before.
That's way
Yeah.
before?
Yeah,
He doesn't hire, or.
They have to pass that before they get hired?
yeah.
He does a background check and all that stuff.
But we have to go through, because when I submit a package to the academy, it's a thing with all the, they have to sign off that they did a background, they did a poly or whatever pre-employment tests we have to do. Actually, poly is not required, but the others are, and then they have to, you know, especially with some with prior training experience, they have to sign off on what they have to take, and then they have to take a PT test down there. So that's why I wanted to do it here, because I don't want to spend a lot of time doing a background, pay for a medical, pay for a psych, pay for a drug
Right.
test, if they're not gonna be able to
Right.
make the test.
Get the low hanging fruit.
Cut the numbers back. And then I would do a written test on anybody who hasn't been to the academy, only because I wanna know that they're gonna be able to pass tests and be able to, you know, they
Right.
meet a certain level of
Reading comprehension, things
reading
like that.
comprehension and all that.
And they go in uniform.
To the academy, they go and they will have a uniform that's, we have sweatshirts, t-shirts, and BDUs, but they will need a uniform because there are some things they have to do in uniform.
So these are all expenses that we're gonna incur
Yes.
prior to
Yeah, we have to,
finalizing the decision.
right.
A lot of speculation here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the risk we take. I mean, that's why we try and do so many screening tests ahead of
Right.
time, so that we try and minimize we got a pretty good idea as to whether or not this person is
Gonna fit the bill or not.
fit the bill and minimize the risk that we might see. They have to have a uniform to go down there. The only other thing that could be an issue is because there's so many places hiring, getting into the academy, they won't take an application until you've actually done everything. Then when they take the application, then they'll see if there's openings,
Right.
and then it may be the next academy. They run them, we're overlapping them like a week or two, a few weeks in there, just so they could get more than 3, but I'm not sure the dates, I'd have to check on that. Fingers crossed we get somebody who can just do the law package, and then that's just driving down for those classes. But there is possibility, like if they're not current with, because now they require like something on critical incident training for mental health. If somebody hasn't had that, say they're certified in Massachusetts and they haven't had a training that matches that up here, they may have to go and take that class too. So that's where the prior training experience, they look at it and they make a determination. But they won't do that until after you've done everything else to submit it. So that's kind of the tough luck of it. They don't want to screen everybody, be a screening tool. So that's
Anything else?
We're only trying to create one police officer, that makes it more interesting as well. So,
well,
we may wanna talk about doing more than one.
we'll see what happens if my concern is a couple of the later ones that just applied, I have a little more, one lives not too far away, so I'm kind of thinking that's more likely. So a lot of these people, I say somebody's applied and they're several states away, just hypothetically. How come they haven't applied in that state that's looking, state in between, why, unless they have some ties up here,
Yeah, what's the draw?
what's the draw, why have they, are they just, or have they not made it through here, I don't know.
I burned a few bridges back down there.
I
you know.
Or maybe
suppose
they
if
just
they're not a
wanna
thrill
move to New
seeker.
Hampshire.
Yeah,
But it could be, could be.
If they're not a thrill seeker, a sleepy little town like Tufton Road and so that,
But that's part of it too.
compared to New York City, for example, or whatever it might be.
We've, and I've done that in the past. I had someone I thought would make a great officer, has been a good officer somewhere else. I didn't think he would fit in very well here.
Mhm.
I mean, I gotta feel comfortable that the person's gonna fit in. Not be, bored out of their skull looking for something to do, trying to dig up something that doesn't need to be dug up. So,
I would think apprehending people that are breaking the speed limit would be plenty of work, and driving on posted roads, for example, just
yeah,
things like
that's all
that.
stuff that can be done.
Yeah.
But
Good.
Imperial and Milford, and what
Milford or Mendon. Their main place is in Mendon.
are they? What brands do they carry?
All of them.
All of them, okay. They're not like, well, MHQ is another one down there, but they mostly carry Ford, and they get their stuff from Central, is where they get their
Yeah.
Dodge.
Imperial is huge.
I'll check on
And
them.
I know that they had a municipal lot. I saw it.
Where's the sheriff's department got theirs, do you know?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Dominic.
No, that's Dominic.
I don't know.
I went by, what I did is I searched on GM, I can search,
Mhm.
looking for those models. And I found what dealers had them, and those were the two closest that had them. There was another one in Mass, and one in Connecticut, and I think one in Rhode Island. But for those particular models, I can actually check certain boxes on, locate a vehicle on General Motors, and that's how but then I also know those places have state contracts that they've gone through, or in the case of Liberty, they have the Plymouth County contract. So it's been competitively bid. Unfortunately, the thing, as with the state ones, what they do now with the state, they only bid on the base vehicle. So sometimes the state bid isn't always the cheapest, because I've seen in the past where, base vehicle's here, the other vehicle's up here, but when you add a spotlight or ground straps or some of the other things,
Mhm.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this one, oh, the differences can start adding up. So, but I will check with them too.
Anything else for the chief? Go get him.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Now we're on to the favorite portion of the meeting, Selectmen's updates. Bob, would you like to update us on anything tonight?
Well, I'll be attending the Parks and Rec tomorrow night. And I did write 2 RFPs last week, one for the fire protection in the vault and one for the sidewalk. And I'm disappointed to not see them here tonight for you guys to look at.
Well, our secretary, normal
The
secretary,
crosswalk,
is not here,
Bob?
and that's why.
The
The crosswalk,
crosswalk, yeah.
I think I did see it.
You did see them?
I saw that one. I didn't see,
I wrote 2.
the fire protection. I didn't see that one.
I'll get in here and see if I can get a look at those.
So those are done. I did them last week. That's it.
Chip, anything for us?
Yeah, I came in, I wrote my article for our article for the Tuppenboro Times.
Oh, good. Got that in?
What?
Met that deadline?
I met the judge, had to call me back in.
Okay.
I talked to the chief, I mentioned to the chief that I talked to the sergeant about overweight vehicles on at least Ledge Hill Road, but probably everywhere else.
Right.
And I thought I had a meeting scheduled for this month, and I'm still working on it with people from New Hampshire Electric Co-op.
Right.
To come in and talk about the possibility of solar. And we didn't get anything back from Phil, but I remember seeing that our QP or whatever it was.
RFQ?
RFQ.
Yes.
Right, that was put out.
That was put out. It's out. I saw it in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thursday's paper.
I guess that's all. Yeah.
Okay, I've been, go ahead.
When is the deadline for our roads posted? When does that expire?
Sometime the end of this month.
The end of
It
this
doesn't-
month. Aren't we done with mud season?
No.
It seems.
No, wait until Wednesday when it rains and we'll have mud season
It
again.
can't be, Bob, when it's 20 degrees in the morning.
Frost eaves are gone. My driveway is solid.
I wish mine was.
Your contractor to do my driveway.
So it just appears to me that mud season is about done.
It would be nice. I love that positive thinking. But he does it for a term, and sometime the second or third week of April, but I think it's the second week. It's not too long.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of digging on Skip Hertz.
Suggestion?
Suggestions about the Chickville Road. I found out that at least from 2009 until now, they've not done a major rebuild on the road. All they've done is a shim and top coat on it. They have a different road agent than they had a couple of years ago, who doesn't seem to be quite as knowledgeable on what happened before he took office. I'm still digging on that. I do notice when I drive it, not quite as often as you, but very often that road cracks right across it just as often as any of our roads do. It cracks down the middle where the two seams don't come together, just like our roads do. It doesn't hump up as bad, but we know that that area is very sandy, doesn't have the kind of ledge and the big boulders that we do in many of our roads. However, I'm still digging to find out when they actually did a reclamation, a real reclamation on that road. I'm gonna have to either go over there or call the town office to say, the road agent's not really, Brad isn't the road agent.
No, but he was when they did that.
I have to find him, see if he can tell me when it was done, and have any idea where to find it, what the cost was, etc. But I've not given up on that, I'm still working on that. And I was hoping to have an application that we could sign to have Susan Weeks appointed to the Agricultural Commission today, but our normal secretary isn't here, so once again, I was disappointed not to see that. Pretty close to having found another member who thinks she'd like to be on the commission, local girl. we may be able to build a commission. We're still recruiting, so I'm working on that as well. And we'll see how that goes from there. I did get a message into Phil from Alva Architects, for the public architects, that I am now the chairman. And please do not slow down in any way if for us. If we need to provide him with information, call me on the telephone and I'll get him that information as soon as possible. So,
Well, I know Bob and I both have comments about the plan as it stands. So maybe
Yes.
what we need to do is arrange for Phil to come down and we'll
we can do that.
get that, cause he's gonna, the RFQs are gonna give him a list of folks who are qualified to do the building.
Right.
We have to have the process or the design done completely before we do an RFP.
Yeah, and I really want to address that HVAC scenario before we get too much further.
So we should invite Phil. Shall we invite Phil, please, Jane,
Okay.
from Alva Architects? The next meeting would be good if he could do it.
Yeah, it's a day meeting too.
Right,
Yeah.
works out very well. Good? And now, we have Steve Scapiccio walking in here,
Right.
and I believe he'd like to address us on what I think is paperwork that could appoint him to act as an agent for the town in an L-chip grant situation.
Just this one.
Just this
It's
one.
only good for 30 days.
Okay, why don't you explain that to us and we'll go from
So,
there.
yeah, so what has transpired is since we've gone through this whole thing with the Lions property, and we did an appraisal at the very front end of it, and it's no longer any good for L-chip because it's over a year. So what they came up with is instead of having Moose Mountain sign the agreement, if the town signed the agreement, because we already own the property, we won't have to have another appraisal. Which is two things: A, it saves money, and B, it saves a lot of time, because getting these guys out there to do appraisals.
Those are two good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why this transpired, otherwise it would have never been, if they had accepted the appraisal that we had done originally, this would never even come about. So this is the only difference. The town's still not getting any funds from it. It's just that in order to avoid having to get another appraisal and waiting for it, this is their way around it.
So we have this form.
Yep.
That you make out part of it, apparently, and we sign part of it. Do you have one of these ready for our signature?
I do not,
Okay.
but because I didn't know, I didn't want to be presumptuous and fill it out, so I didn't do it, but I can and just drop it off and you can sign it.
Can we sign it next week?
Yep.
Does
Oh, we
one?
can sign it on Friday if we vote today, if he needs it sooner.
Oh, true.
No, Friday would be fine.
Yeah, that can be in our package, it will be in his signed check.
Yeah, so I can have it all filled out and have it for you guys.
I'll move that we authorize Steve Capaccio to be the agent for the L-chip grant, or whatever the wording needs to be.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
So make sure Cammy has that
Right.
before we come in on.
Friday.
You guys come on Thursday.
I come Thursday afternoon.
Sometimes I do and sometimes I come on Friday.
So Thursday.
I'll drop it off to her tomorrow,
Okay.
Good.
so that way
Good.
it'll be all set. Only other thing I want to ask a question on is I've been out tramping through all our trails, because I'm making trail maps for all our trails, so we can actually hand out some trail maps when people ask. And I was out behind the fire station and the Central Park trails, and where they built the cell phone tower. So they put like a trench all around the tower, which is right at the end and beginning of the blue trail,
A moat.
a moat. Are they gonna put some kind of a bridge so that we can still have our trail there?
That, I don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, they really should, so that
Well,
people,
no, it amounts to what have we leased them, so you need to take a look at the map.
Yeah.
So we leased them a square of property to put that cell tower on. If the moat is outside of that, then you can ask them to put a bridge in. If it's not, then.
Too bad for
Yeah,
us.
Too bad for us, we gotta move the trail.
oh, that's not an easy one where that is.
Well, also, if eventually, between the Conservation Commission and Parks and Rec, we get a mountain bike facility out there, that's gonna have to be accessible as well, eh?
Well, I I don't recall right off the top of my head where the trails are for the mountain bikes, but definitely, we have 2 trails out there, the red and the blue trail, and they both end at that, if you come around from the backside, they both end right there.
Is the moat too big to put pallets over?
Probably not, but I guess, you know, if it comes down to it, I would rather just build a boardwalk over the top of it if they're not gonna do anything. I mean, my only concern is, it's mostly riprap in there, and I'm just afraid somebody's gonna walk across that and trip and fall.
Tear an
off,
ankle, who knows?
Tear an
Yeah,
ankle,
it's
or
pretty
do
rough
something
stuff.
on it.
So we're gonna have to find out
Yeah,
exactly, is the moat within the leased property or does it encroach?
and if it is, then it's a matter of asking if we can build something over it.
Yeah, I guess we should have considered
For
that. when we
less than 25,000.
Had them put the tower in, say we need a right of way for that trail. I mean, they plop the
I
tower
would say
right in the
put,
middle of
I'd
the
say put
trail.
your best man on it, and that would be you. Right?
Do we have a contact for that, or?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cammy does.
Cammy should be able to set you right up with anything you need for that.
Awesome.
Or,
pretty good.
or Kathy, because she gets the rent check.
Right.
Perfect.
Either one, if you don't have any luck there, get a hold of me,
Okay,
and I'll come
I'm
in
sure.
and I'll ride that for you.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
Steve.
very much. Oh, did you happen to mention our grand opening celebration that you guys are all invited to?
I have mentioned it. Had forgotten the exact dates, but then I emailed Cammy to get that out to these guys in their emails, and that would be the 17th of June.
Yep.
And then a rain date as 24th of June from 1 p.m.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, you did get it. And they'd like us there for a photo op, as I mentioned. And nothing like a good photo op, I always say.
We find that it's really helpful for the commission. The more we put into the public, the better it is. So we're really trying to be very public oriented. So,
Yeah, we're that way too. The more we put,
Yeah.
Oh,
it,
yeah.
the more that we put it to the public, the better off everybody.
oh, yeah, it just makes your life so easier if they just know what's going on. And,
Maybe your life.
yeah. All right.
Thank you,
guys.
Steve. All right, now we're on to other business. Is there any other business you'd like to discuss? Mr. Public, do you have anything you'd like to discuss?
Just on a personnel matter, can you, at some point between now and 1st of June, put together your summer vacation schedule? Because I get invited to go somewhere, and I don't want to go there. if we both gone at the same
You will
time.
have that at the next meeting.
Okay. Just so that we're
No problem.
coordinating.
We'll
as a-
try to do our best. Yes, I'll do that for you for the next meeting.
Thanks.
And, oh yes, personnel policy.
Did we get any,
I haven't heard nothing at all back from employees through any channels on what they might like to see different or added or changed or anything.
once again, we're missing the contact person?
The crickets.
No, Cammy.
Oh, we're missing her.
Um,
We'll have to wait till Monday to see if she's got
yeah,
anything else to
I gotta stop in anyway, Wednesday. I'll ask her to
if you don't mind.
look into that, and if nobody's got any comments on it, then we'll just do it ourselves, I think. Isn't that the
Well,
way?
I'm concerned that we do it before we start hiring new personnel, so that when they come aboard, they have an updated and actually officially implemented, because this one never was that I can see,
Right.
policy to deal with, that's all.
Yeah.
You're in agreement? One more time, you're in agreement?
I am, in fact,
Very good.
you know, I failed to bring it up when the police chief brought it up. You know, complying with our personnel policy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a personnel policy currently,
No, we don't.
so we don't have to comply with anything.
At least as far as the town goes, it was, to my knowledge, it was never implemented. Just been kind of used in any manner anybody wanted to use it.
It's a reference material.
Right. All right, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, men. I'll now take critique of my running of the meeting.
Wonderful.